Yeah, I'm looking pretty good. I mean, I'm quite excited for this one. This is going to be the last time that we are going to see just the promotion games, no risk of that elimination, because it is ever getting closer for a lot of the teams. They are getting to that point where they have to be considered. Be concerned about their position at the moment. What you can see at the moment at that 2-1 bracket is LDL going up against No Offense. That's our game today, and then we'll take a look at tomorrow a little bit later. Two teams have already been eliminated down to that bottom section. But whoever wins this game will just get promoted. If you lose this game, that's fine because you still have next week. But you really can't afford to mess things up because next week, that is your last chance to qualify. LDL, and No Offense, these are two good teams. You can see they've followed that bracket pretty much at the top. Just a nice little arc. They've just got to the crest of the hill, and then they've both just dropped down a little bit. No Offense, though, they've worked their way up. They've been able to fight their way from that 1-1 bracket after the loss, or after the win, sorry, and just bring things back. So hopefully looking to continue that and make sure they haven't peaked so quickly. Yeah. I feel like teams just they're just playing it safe. They're just realizing the kind of situation they're in. They don't want to overdo it. They don't want to get too risky because they appreciate they might go into that elimination game next week, and they don't want to take this for granted. They're just going to stick to the basis, stick to what they know. Bank, cafe, consulate. Bank and cafe. You know what you're going in for. You know what to expect, and most teams should be able to just play that game out. It's just relying on the basics, flank watch, and kind of how they coordinate as a team. That's realistically going to be how we see these two maps play out. Consulate, I feel like, is just going to rely a little bit more fraggy. There is the element of strat, there is the element of team play, but it really is one of those maps that just plays a lot looser, plays a lot more in favor of the gunfights. So I feel like that's just them saying, well, LDL, they don't want to go to Clubhouse. They're happy to go to Consulate. They're just going to rely on the gunfights and take it from there, really. But starting out on Bank, we're going to see No Offense taking the pick, which means that I believe LDL are going to be starting on the defense first. That means that they've got a quite strong position. I mean, no offense to be on the defense, they will be able to just go in and say, right, we're going to take these sites. We're confident with the defense. Then when we go into the attack, we should know what we're doing anyway. Kavdovsky, it's a map we've seen a lot of, Puffer, isn't it? Mm. Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit one-sided. Nanos being the only one wanted to go for the side of no offense. Even the community vote kind of follows that. I mean, a lot of support for LDL, and no offense, they're coming in as the underdogs with that 20% vote. I mean, I think, yeah, the stats can tell a story. When you look at the bracket, you'd expect LDL to come into this one a little bit stronger. But realistically, both teams, they've both in the situation where they've won and lost the same amount of games, same amount of series. Going into this one, I don't think you can say on paper that we've seen enough of both teams to kind of say that this is as dominant as these predictions are showing. I mean, we go into Bank, we'll start to get a feel for it. By the time we're through CAF, then we'll probably have a rough idea. But realistically, the only way we're going to find out is by watching this game and seeing how this is going to play out. I want to know what you think, though, Puffer, because we've spoke about what the other people have thought so far. What about you? How do you feel this will go? Yeah, exactly. Now, going into this map, LDL Valor, they're going on the attack. There's a couple of things they need to focus on. This top floor is probably with the site that No Offense are going to want to pick. Taking this top floor site as an attacking side, there's a few things you need to be aware of. Those windows is something you need to be very careful of, because when you have somebody playing on that window, as an attacker, yes, you can get that utility, you can get everything off the ball. We are going to be having a rehearse, so it gives me a little bit more time to talk about this top floor site when we get that sorted. But you have to be concerned about these windows. Yes, you can get the utility off, you can get the wall open, but then there's the ATM player. So typically you'll expect to see somebody over towards the Canto rappel, holding that elevator area, just making sure nobody can play in that lobby, that main lobby. It allows you to get that utility off the ball. Then the players over towards your stock side, your square side, get the breach open, take that control. And if they have that elevator corridor, then they're able to just start to swing onto site essentially with the control from the windows, with the control from breach, and with that flank watch as well to make sure any roamers get caught off. For the defenders, those are the kind of key things they need to be worried about. Those windows, they're going to be big, big problems for them because they're going to lose utility to them, whether it be the elevator side or whether it be the square side. So they need to be prepared. Are they going to challenge it? And if they do challenge it, how are they going to deal with the issues that the attacking side are going to give? That's some of the issues that I'm seeing already on this first round, purely from the map. I say issues, but it is more, just key focus areas for these teams.
Yeah, I mean, in general, we do have a lot of ways of going about bank. And in the process of it, to put it a bit out of context, earlier we talk about staff being one-sided. You can take a look at chat, and if anyone from No Offense has not voted yet, please put in the votes, because there is 15,900 points in LDL Valor and a big fat 0 for No Offense. So, chat, if you want to gamble it away, I mean, there's a big prize pool if No Offense end up taking it away. But in the end, like you said, I mean, there is a huge way of entering bank. And in the meanwhile, it's not necessarily one of those maps that has objective lists like the clubhouse. Okay, you take breach and then you take red, or you take construction, or you take garage, something like that. No. There's a lot of ways to adapt. There's a lot of ways to overcome. And in the end, anything can go your way as long as you play it correctly. And again, bank shows to be a huge map where mistakes mean a lot more than they tend to.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Bank is also a map where it's not, like you say, you don't have that key checklist that you need to follow out like you used to have, say, 4 years ago in this game. You had a checklist on every map. If you didn't hit that checklist, you were in for a bit of trouble. Bank is a map where you can rely on gunfights a little bit better as long as you've got most of that work done, as long as you've dealt with some of these key areas. For example, blue stairs on that bottom floor, elevated square over on that top floor. That's the thing that you need to kind of keep an eye on. Realistically, going onto a map like Kaf Dostoevsky, kind of similar vibes alongside that, but it does feel a lot more regimented. Whereas when we look at Consulate, I feel like things start to go, it's fine. You've got guns, you've probably got an Ash on your team, just kind of let it work out. I kind of want to think about some operator bands because we didn't even get to see that so far, Puffo. I know that the Blackbeard is a big one at the moment because a lot of teams will use that shield. They will use the fact that they can use those nades safely. They can use that assault rifle very quickly and still have that protection of the shield. Are you expecting to see Blackbeard taken away with some of the choke points you could find on a map like Bank?
Look, I'm just going to say it like this. The Blackbeard is brutal. All shields are brutal, especially when it comes to big maps. I think all three maps that we're going to be seeing today share this. I think we're going to be seeing a bunch of operators bans that really consist of the shields, even on Consulate, on Bank, on Cafe. All three of them, we can expect the Blackbeard, we can expect the Monty, or we can expect the Blitz, maybe even a Clash at times. But just people hate playing against the shields. Imagine you try to push up into any corner and there's a big black, just a huge piece of chunk of metal looking at you, ready to absolutely take you out on the spot. And of course, a whole army behind it. Not much of a thing that bullets can stop. And honestly, in the end, it is what it is. So honestly, on the defensive side, we've talked about the attack. We can expect Monty, we can expect Blackbeard, we can expect a bunch. But on the defensive, McCready, what are you thinking to get out of it?
I feel like we're probably not. We're probably expecting to see a Mira taken away on a map like Bank at the moment. And again, like you say, it does translate onto Consulate and onto Kaf Dostoevsky. An operator like Mira gives a lot of information. It gives a lot of pressure for the attacking side, and at the very least, it draws out util trying to deal with it. Realistically, pushing up against a mirror window on a big map like these three isn't something you could do. So you're going to have that Ash Charger, that Twitch drone nearby. Either way, you're either using util or you're exposing the util to being shot. So it's something that I expect the attackers just to not want to deal with, because even though they might not be fighting, there is going to be that information gain that's at play, information being given. And now, as we start to get things going, we are going to try and head to bank for the second time of asking. Maybe we are going to make it to the operator bans. So the first ban that comes out, we both reckon we're going to see shields coming out quite quickly. Let's see if that is the case.
Let's see it. Let's see it in action because, well, of course, action speaks a bit more louder than words. And no offense, we're going to be starting out with the first attacking ban. Well, get the drum rolls going, as starting it out officially will be a Nook. Now, honestly, I'm not too surprised. I feel like this is a really downplayed character, something that isn't picked as much as it should be, such as a Ying per times. But Nook, the strengths of this character on this map are absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, it's a map with a lot of just, it's not even intricate layouts. It's very simple layouts. It's only a couple of staircases, but having a Nook being able to just walk up them in the way that this map is set out, there's focus applied on the key areas that your attackers are coming from. They might not be watching behind. The cameras don't cover all of those staircases. Think about beepers. It's a very limited area that's covered. And main lobby cam probably isn't being watched if you're focusing on squares on the top floor, for example. So an operator like Nock and a roam player, it can be quite risky. That's why they've taken it away. Monty's going to join it, like you say, that shield, and realistically, I'm thinking of that blue side on that basement. That's why that Monty's been taken away, because it can be so punishing with a good attacking team. Cade's going to join them. Many of those hatches are not going to get Cade tricked. It's going to be a lot easier on the attack to get that utility down, get those hatches open, and then start to look at util dumping the site. Vigil's going to join them, and I think we all know why Vigil's going to join them.
I mean, it's a similar situation with the Nook, right? There's a huge map, there's a lot of nooks and crannies, and both of these operators can find their tiniest parts in the map to either hide, to flank, to do whatever they want. And I mean, like we've said it many times, Bank is probably one of the largest, if not the largest map in Rainbow Six Siege, and droning out the entire thing is practically just unreasonable. You waste way too much time, and getting to the execute, then clearing out the utility, it's just too much of a hassle. That's why we're maybe going to be hoping some extra operators to clear out those roamers a bit easier, just like we see Zacharia on that Dokkaebi right now.
Yeah, exactly. And bringing out that Dokkaebi makes a lot of sense as well, because it is just that global information game that's given no matter where they are, no matter who they are. It doesn't take away the gunfighting ability of the Dokkaebi. And I know there's a little bit of debate around Jackal and Dokkaebi at the moment recently. I feel like Dokkaebi's a pretty solid choice, because Jackal, yeah, they can shoot while they're tracking. Yes, they get that live ping, but with the Dokkaebi, it's the audio information. And when we think about the operators that have been target banned, like the Nock, like the Vigil from No Offense, Dokkaebi is actually really good in rooting those players out. Those exact operators that we've seen banned out. So, going into this top floor site, we're going to have to see LDL. They're going to focus towards the square side. They need to get control of stock, but they also need to be aware of these windows. Are they going to get that pressure on, or are they just going to walk in, see what can happen? Two players going down below, meaning they're going to try and get that stock side open. They're going to try and make sure that they can get util off the wall quite easily, because the box perfect operator for that. Now they can watch that janitor side. They can actually call any rotates, while the rest of the team are going to start getting that utility off. The floor is there, going to try and force back a player, hopefully get them through Janny, and that means then that maybe a kill can come through. But that shield's being taken away. A lot of utility already being focused on, and LDL, they're taking to it quite strong. They know what they want to accomplish here.
Eyes on the prize, going for a bit of verticality never hurt, especially on this extension type of map play. And well, we get to see No Offense right now. The operator lineup we haven't talked about too much, but it rocks a very heavy style of shutdown and denial, especially when it comes to that quick action. The attackers can't really catch a active surprise on you, because there's probably going to be a castle and a zombie or anything like that in between. Shot from behind, and that verticality not being held too well, as Kesko will claim the opening. And that's going to be Zacharia. A very unfortunate take to be taken off for No Offense, but they claim another, and Lunar Wall does return it, although it's a 2-to-1 deal, not certainly the best. Another peek, and Harvey falls! Oh, Kesko, he gets away with just a bit too much.
Well, how is Buck letting that happen? I mean, yes, Buck should have been watching that verticality. They had a lot to focus on there, but that is twice that Frost has been able to run into Sock and get that pick. So now you're stuck with your Buck and your Zafir there. One on the breach, one on the window, one in square. Gold will head her all the way around to that ATMs and take out that Sophia player, but what happened? I mean, Frost was just allowed to walk back in. There was verticality, there were Dokkaebi scans. They knew that this player was going to be around about there. And if they didn't, that raises a little bit more of an issue for myself than if they did. Because if they aren't covering something like that, how can they expect to attack the site? Yeah, you will see Medaraya now trying to get something back to kind of bring it back the last 45 seconds. But realistically, they just need to use this time and think, right, guys, what's going to happen? Yeah, Kesko gets picked off. But realistically, no offense, they really shouldn't lose this one.
No, they shouldn't. And no offense to LDL Valor, but in this situation, you shouldn't have let those picks come through in the first place. You're setting up below just to deny them, just to gain yourself that control. And Kesko comes in time and time again just to pick up 2-3 kills. That is absolutely tremendous. And they didn't learn from their mistakes either. No, it happened once. They just completely ignored it like it can't happen again. And well, guess oh well, LDL Valor, you have 3 players off the board. And no offense, have claimed round number 1, as those are going to be the defenders taking reign at the very beginning.
I mean, yeah, I gotta say, Popo, LDL, they had the right steps in place. I really like the approach they brought to it. They wanted to get that verticality. They wanted to have these cutoffs. They realized where these high pressure positions were going to be. And then they just didn't take advantage of any of it. And I think, yeah, maybe, all right, it's first round, it's first map. There might be a little bit of warming up left to do, a little bit of synergy that a lot of teams need to get with. But I mean, we're seeing players just being picked off due to positioning. Like, Harv shouldn't even have been in a position where they could have died using that Flores drone, but that was what we saw. So now, no offense, they're going to take it. They're just going to head down to that basement site. They're going to have that echo being brought out as well as the Goyo. So a lot of denial, a lot of information coming out, and with the smoke and lesion into boot as well. Combine that with your double out, LDL Valour, they're going to have to be getting in quickly. They're going to have to take advantage a lot quicker. And if they're not locked in, we might see a repeat of that second round. The roam clear is something they'll still need to be aware of. Yes, Vigil's taken away, which means that roam clear is going to be a lot easier, especially with Dokkaebi on the board. But it also means that if LDL don't do this properly, if they don't do this roam clear as they should, they might just get a little bit caught. They might be a little stuck and realize, well, we haven't checked this. There might be somebody there, and they're going to find out quite quickly that there is.
Oh, yeah. That's when it really starts ticking in, and like you mentioned, this lineup is absolutely screaming out, you are not getting past. That diffuser is not entering sight, nor is it being planted down. But shut down for one, it is the Goyo that falls first, although the utility still plays down. Mataria feeling a bit too cheeky, as when trying to enter tunnels, you find yourself tunneled, and well, in a bottleneck situation such as all players compile, you get some damage through, no dock on the attack, so you're going to be leaving that state for the entire rest of the match. And while though they have lost one, no offense, have wasted a very precious amount of time, as 2 minutes remain, prep still needs to be done, and like you said, McCready, the amount of utility on defense right now needs to be cleared as fast as possible.
Yeah, which means that LDL, they don't really have the time to waste now, so they're going to get drones in, they're going to meet those jammers, which aren't even on the board, but they are going to get that breach open. That's what they need. They don't really have much pressure up above. It's going to be Lunar Wall and Harv up above. They have these hatches open, and they can go for the drop, but Lunar Wall needs to be the one on site when they go for this execute. And with the sense, there's no better way to deal with it. But the Tubber Hour is coming in massively. Azora is able to find Cairo and even things out very, very quickly. With that sense above, though, they have the utility, but the Tubber Hour is just slowing things down. They can't go for this execute. Halfway is ticking down. And now, no offense, might be thinking of a roam. Somebody to go upstairs, somebody to apply that pressure as LDL starts to slow down. The hatch opens up, but Sora's actually holding their ground for the time being as the drone comes out. Realize they need to run away, but they're going to hold firm. The DMR comes out and Lunar Wall finds that kill. Now this really opens up the sense to jump in. But the Goyo canisters are coming into play now, and no doubt that's going to be the smoke starting to come over. Kesko still has those Yoko drones in pocket, still deny this plan. With 55 seconds left, LDL, they're going to start going for this attack, but only to walk into these Goyo canisters and smoke canisters.
Never forget about the babes laying right around the corner. Still all 3 in the pocket here, and Kodaft might be holding them just enough. As in the meanwhile, the Echo coming in for the second drone rotation. Absolutely huge as we speak about it. But shots are being shot. The Goyo canisters, one still more stands. And even though your breach has been opened, you need to find that comfort zone. Hatch has been obtained. But the defenders won't be going down without a fight. The Sense having utilization, even after the nerf or after the buff, whatever it may be. Absolute value. But the Smoke Babes, along with the combination of the Legion Goo, are going to be claiming another just to equalize out the man count. The fire spreads. You have 10 seconds. There's no time remaining. Harvey claims another. They all drop down into sight. It's absolute mayhem. And Lunar just puts an extra onto the count. The final one, the Echo, he doesn't get it in time. But when Perch, this is still a viable position here. As long as he keeps Hatch, he keeps possession. And as long as he can play this nicely and his cards accordingly, it could be one going for no offense, but rotation by Harvey is going to be safe and sound. He goes for the long way about it, and no one's going to be peeking out onto him. If the Echo could have been a bit faster, if he could have picked up on that velocity earlier, maybe, just maybe the outcome would have been different. But coulda, woulda, shoulda. It's a bit too late now. Last two are going to start creepy crawling right up onto you, shoot you dead, and Zakaria with the final last save.
Oh, such a round from LDL there. They really started pushing it a little bit too late for my liking, but they were able to get that drop in. They won those key gunfights at the end, and as a result, they were able to just start getting that plant down. That just staved off that timer a little bit longer. And like you said, for some reason, the Echo just wasn't able to get the drone Casco. They couldn't get that drone into the right spot at the right time to stop that plant going down. They didn't have the angle. And as a result, clock hit 000. The plant went down. They were in a 1 versus 2 situation. I like that they moved upstairs and they tried to get that verticality, but it was a little bit too late for me. I would have liked to see that earlier in the round when we really saw LDL start to stumble. When they had the players on the hatch, that's when I would have liked to see that rotation come through. Realistically, that's something that just didn't happen. I'd like to see it happen a little bit sooner this time if it's needed. From this side, no offense though, losing Rusa from the start from that last round was a little bit too cocky for my liking. Playing over towards that tunnel side, holding that gunfight, and losing it with the Vector is something that I can't really forgive in any way, Buffo. Yes, you're going up against the Ash, the R4C, but it's not a gunfight you should lose. It's not an angle that you should be losing that gunfight if you're peeking it. Again, I like this. LDL, they got an early advantage. They worked with it, and it nearly didn't go their way. They're just able to keep their measured heads and get it.
Honestly, the defense there could have stuck out a lot better. I mean, we can take a look at the final 10 seconds. A Goyo started burning. A smoke was set off. And Medaria, now again, keeping up this tradition of LDL Valour being the ones to open us up. No offense, are not having the greatest of starts. And when it be execution or when it be early game, they're always struggling and trying to chase behind whatever No Offense can do. But LDL Valour, I mean, like I said, they're always up ahead. And Medaria, he claims another. Oh, no. They all peak and a triple for these F2. How does he get away with so much? We saw it in round 1, right, McCready, where someone just kept on peeking from sock window and they got away with it. Well, it's about Medaria's turn.
Yeah, able to pick up 3 kills, just going to walk in. Zachariah going to stop that ace from happening, though, as they're going to point code. Have to drop things out for the rest of the team. Why not? It's a 5 versus 1. With 2 minutes left on the clock, there's going to be a TK as Luna War gets taken down. But Madariah will find their 4th pick. A fast entry. They got one pick and ran away the last round. But this time, they just drove upon it. And no offense, just gave them what they wanted. Just gave them kills.
Is absolutely insane. I mean, come on, LDL Valour. You're getting away with it too much. Or rather, this time it's a bit of blame onto No Offenses. I mean, in the end, let's be completely honest, they kept on peeking into the wrong gun. They couldn't win a gunfight with the Vector against the R4C. How the hell do you expect to win a gunfight against a bloodlusted Medaria on the F2, absolutely riling you down one after another? And I mean, they felt like dominants. Let's be completely honest. It's been about these players just not learning from their mistakes. Come on.
Yeah, we're only 4 rounds into it now. But realistically, that's something that you really can't be seeing from an offensive lineup on that bottom floor. Is somebody just walking in. That's got to be rectified the next time we go there. We're going back to the top floor now, Buffo, which is the round that No Offense won. But I'm turning my heads. If they win this, that's great. But I'm turning my heads towards the next couple of rounds. Are they going to be able to kind of fix those issues where they go back down below? Or are we going to see a kind of tipped attack depending on what side we're on? LDL, they've got to iron out this attack now. They've got to have these players holding these angles that they're making as well, especially when it comes to that stock side. We can't just watch Casco walk in again. Let's be honest.
No, that would be unforgiving. Now this time, but LDL Valour have now won 2 in a row. This is a good streak. They keep it up. They get themselves a very promising beginning, as this map tends to be just a tiny bit more defender-sided. Again, huge. It's hard to work against, and it's hard to work with as an attacker. Although you have many options, the defense also has many more to shut those down. So Let's see what LDL Valour are going to be getting up, as it's only better from here to the one already on the lead. Maybe they can get themselves a 3-3. A 4-2 would be excellent. Anything above it, it's ludicrous, and no offense, I'm not going to be having too much of hope. Now, round 4 underway. Action hasn't packed up just yet. But these players, they're getting prepared. We see it's top floor yet again. This is where no offense won first time. Is it going to be their second?
They have the workers playing down below. They're looking for these rotates, making sure that they could cut down the freedom of movement the attackers have enjoyed enough, or the defenders enjoyed in that first round. But is it really going to bear any fruit? We're going to find out soon. Zachariah already in square, a player on the square windows, and now the floor is starting to deal with utility. This is where Madariah is really going to come into effect if they're watching the right angle. Is anybody holding that stock window? Because that's wide open. And as we know, Casco can get those kills very easily if they desire. Flores will force that Azami out of the spot, and they will expose him to the gunfights. They get downed by Luna Wolf. That's going to be Zoro trying to get a refrag. Zach gets a confirm. Luna finds the head of Zoro. And now 2 players have fallen on the defensive side. The attackers looking much better than they did first time here, Papa.
Oh yeah, it is looking a lot more better, and maybe this time around, stat predictions are just going to be looking a bit more granted. A Swingen not going to be working in your favor. Madaria, no more hero plays, but that's why you have many more on your team to commit those for you. Down onto Kodap is going to be leaving it in a technical 4v2 situation with the Aruni and Frost being the only one left to remain. 50 seconds here. You need to hold out for quite a while. Up until now, it hasn't been the best, but it's what you're given, and beggars can't be choosers. Zakaria there to finish the job. Chiron comes around, swooping up an extra, and the last one to stand. A 1v4 situation seen earlier, seen again. History repeats itself, and Zakaria comes around to claim even more for that KD to keep on going up.
Yeah, spotting the pixel there. We'll be able to find gold and get another round in favor of the attacks. And now we're on a really interesting one here. I thought no offense were looking strong in our first round, but now LDL have swept everything on their heads. A very dominant third round that they picked up, and then that last round as well. That was what we needed to see. They were aware. They were keeping an eye on these key basics. They were watching the flanks. They were aware that these players might be over towards stock side, and they played together. We saw the ace getting the kill in combination with Lunarwald using those concussion nades. It meant that Tesco wasn't confident going for a gunfight. They were just picked off. They didn't even know they were about to get shot at until they were actually being shot. That is much nicer from LDL Valour to show why they were in that top end of that bracket until very recently. Now they need to replicate that. Are No Offense going to make these adaptations? Are they going to be aware that they need to just not give away these key picks at the start of each round? Are they going to be playing in a way that kind of goads LDL into coming to them like the first round we saw?
5 seconds left before insertion.
Things are changing. LDL Valour, the best way to mention it is all they needed was a bit of a warm-up. No Offense gave it to them, and they didn't take the time of themselves to win as many rounds as they could have before LDL started bringing all the heat in. And again, Casco, first round, he did amazing things. Now he's starting to really bring himself down upon it, trying to go for a spawn peek. Definitely isn't the wisest of choices, being damaged for a bit. And again, while though it may not seem like much, No Offense are still putting up that cheeky front that is being shut down time and time again by LDL.
Yeah, again, spotting the player over on that room. We're just aware that they need to be concerned about these players in lobby side. There's nobody over towards Kanto at the moment, which means that these players can just rotate back to side. But with the drones being there, that's hopefully going to change. You might see Harvey going around, trying to just get an angle. Or you'll see Lunarwald just on that window, looking to take that gunfight. They're feeling confident to win it. Like you say, we've not really seen a massive impact for the defenders so far now in terms of gunfights since that first round. So I don't judge them for trying to take that fight. Now, though, Windows have that pressure. Well, my magnets are starting to go in there, but we don't see anyone fall just yet. Zachariah's very close to it. Flores Jones will start to get to work and hopefully get LDL on attack.
Lunarwald, he already puts himself out there for a second time. And even though Madaria falls, just like earlier, again, round 5 is a repetition of the previous one. And in the end, it's LDL still back upon the lead, trying to take up the track and be the ones in the upfront position. An overstep, you could call it, but No Offense fall one after another. And it's going to keep on going down that traditional line if they don't make any changes here, as LDL are slowly starting to shut them down. But coming around here for a bit of a peek, feeling the cheek, and in the meanwhile, missing those shots. Lunar keeps himself alive. Oh, Gold. That is just not the best way to go out with it.
Yeah, going up to Banana now, they're going to have a position where they can use that DMR still. They can use these long lines of sight, but they need to be aware of this player deficit that they have. They need to be aware that there's going to be multiple people looking at them, and they're not going to go into gunfights. 50 seconds to get down on the clock. The breach has to get pushed into. Chiron knows this, but just needs to have the rest of the support there. Having Zafir on that window, being able to keep an eye on Gold, and they know where Kesko is now, which means they can start to apply the pressure, especially with stock control. 30 seconds ticks down. Chiron will have to start looking at making this move. The rest of the players will have to look at backing them up. With that zombie barricade going down, oh, they're going to be able to get that plan. And now the defender's going to have to turn into the offense here, Puffo.
Yes, they will. Final few, and this is going to be the post plant initiated by none other than LDL yet again. Maybe it wasn't needed, but in the end, time was starting to run low, and offense are now putting up a very decent fight back. But it's a bit too late. We already have the final 2 players of LDL right now on the outside, the skirts of the map. But Gold does simply not care. The mechanically gifted player puts another one in the grave, and a second one for the quads. There's no one stopping him in his line as he makes sure that the defuse is going to be safe and sound. And no offense, after a 3-round row loss, they finally bring it back just for the second.
So close. Gold double peeking there. They start running away, and I start panicking. LDL Valour, that was another good round, though. They got those opening picks. They got that plant down. They realized that that zombie barricade was going to work in their favor. But no offense, what a retake, as you can see on the screen there. Just Kesko and Gold, they just stepped up. They just woke up in a massive way. Took these gunfights, had the player over towards that main lobby side to just apply that pressure. They know it's a post plan. They're going to be playing on the window. That's what Gold was there to do. The DMR was the perfect weapon for it. And they are going to be able to pick up that site and get a second round on the board. They don't want to go down below now, Buffo. And that's because they've lost that twice. And the last time was very dominating from LDL. So they're going to try out this tertiary bomb site, the kitchen open area side. It's all about the verticality here for me. On the attacking team, there needs to be verticality if they're going to take this site. They can't really just expect to jump in or walk in on square and expect to get the plant down. They need to have somebody above, whether it be a fuse or a ram, or just somebody, even an IQ, just looking down below, being aware that they might get flanked. They might have somebody rotate up on that top floor. As a result, again, the road player, that's the name of the game for me here.
Name of the game indeed, and we can already take a look at the lineup as we are going to be going into the final round of the first half here, and starting to shift a bit. We see the Monty, not the Monty, I'm missing up. Yeah, the shields are even getting into my head, I do apologize, but it's the Mozzie and the Valkyrie that I'm trying to point out here, with not only a lot of explosive action, but intel. Intel matters in gunfights, intel matters everywhere in Siege, and as the attackers have their drones, the offense are going to be bringing a bit of their own just to set up maybe some pre-plants, or in the meanwhile, to allow themselves some easy gunfights.
Yeah, the Valkyrie's going to be picked up, as are some of these multi-passes as well, which means they know where they can and can't drone. Valkyrie spotted over towards square, which means LDL, they're going to just start applying pressure from these windows. They're not going to overdo it, because they realize that if they lose this now, if they lose that first gunfight, it can be so difficult. Let's start out here. They're getting the verticality in that CEO side. This means they can watch archive. They can watch a rotate if they do go for the execute. They're already thinking about that post-plant scenario. And as a result, Zachariah has been able to just walk up to archive. They know that when they do go for this push, they can have that vertical control and see down below. But upstairs is where they need to worry about. Castle, Legion, that's what's really going to slow this thing down, which means LDL now with them pretty much half the round left on the board, they need to be ready. Because I know Roos is looking for that drone. Goes to the swing, just goes back into cover. It's Zachariah. Just get the opening pick. Isn't going to be able to find it just yet. A bit of damage goes down, and that SMG-12 will not get that pick it needs. And as with a player over towards blue side, Zachariah needs to find something. They need to move, or they need to get a pick. And they're not going to be able to do either. That's going to be Zorro walking up those blue stairs, finding that kill, and just heading down. That kill might have just ended the round entirely.
Some rounds given, and some given back. No offense, have been taking too many L's, and now it's time for that double E action to start picking itself up, just like the tempo, as we're beginning to feel it. The defense are now beginning to swing out yet again, and there's going to be that second drop. LDL Valour not looking the tastiest, a bit of a sour feeling, as a G4 from below claims Chiron's lives, a down onto Lunar, and Harvey, Madaria, the only ones left on their feet, do get a pickup on the beautiful beautiful. Lunar, and, well, one kill from Madaria, but still one seeking to find that extra bit of a bomb, and Harvey shuts him down, as now with 30 seconds remaining, not the best of HP, the attackers look to make their headway onto site, and while there isn't much time, they definitely have the objective in mind.
Yeah, beggars can't be choosers here because now they are in a time situation. They have to run into the defense, and while Kesko is able to escape this, they can just plant that Mossberg shotgun. The Ash Charge is going to make it a lot more difficult to hold, but 8 seconds to take it down. They don't need to hold it for long. It's going to be Gold finding 1 kill. Will be trading out by half. Another jump comes through. Kesko's playing prone in mini office. They can go for the plant. They're going to. It's going to be Mad finding 1 kill. Gets another. LDL will take a 4th round on the attack before they switch on to the defense, but it should have gone no offense's way. A huge effort from the attack in the last 30 seconds.
I don't know if it's site dependent or not, but we saw this downstairs, McCready. We saw this the final few seconds, and everything just goes loose. No offense, managed to not only lose out on gunfights, but not use their utility, not use any crossfires, nor strategy. They put simply a raw input into their brain that they should go for shoot and gun. And in the end, I mean, we can clearly see in the 5 seconds remaining, it did not work out. The shotgun was close, mighty close, don't get me wrong, but in the end, it just wasn't close enough. And it lost them the round, meaning a 4-2 split for LDL as they head over to the defense. I mean, this is going to be pretty difficult to come back from.
Yeah, no offense, they've really got their task ahead of them. I mean, this was the big problem site for them on the defense, which is the favored site, especially on a map like Bank. Defense is just the way to go. On this basement, this is considered one of the strongest sites, especially a lot of teams will prefer to go down here. And LDL, they're doing the exact right thing. They know that they dominated the attack, so they're going to try and do the same on that bottom floor. Kodaf, he's going to stick that glass, which is quite interesting for me with no offense. I mean, aside from going garage, I don't see much utility that they're going to get out of it, aside from a post plan. Going down to this bottom floor, that's got to be something, Puffo. They've lost it twice. They've really not had much traction, especially on the defense anyway. Going down here on the attack, they're going to have a big ask to be made of them. It's going to be all about this roam clearing. It's going to be all about how much utility they're getting out of here, and Gold might just be trying to do a little bit of a Madaraya cosplay.
Well, hopefully the score isn't reflecting on the mental of no offense, as clearly that wouldn't be a positive. Now bringing out the drone meta, as we see a lot of Twitch, a lot of floors, and it's quite common, especially on a site like this. Again, the best way to shut down utility and the best and safest way to do it is with drones. It's as simple as it gets, and in the meanwhile, this class is going to be coming in quite threatening for the side of LD Valor, but they can simply hide behind this wheel, save their time, get their footsies, and a bit of a pedicure onto one of these players as just inches away. Oh my god, no! Go, Dev! This is not the way you wanted to go out.
But that's 2 defenders focusing on that garage now, and you can see that Zachariah has to rotate off, and that's where Roos is able to find that kill. Gets Kyron as well, opens things up for this Glad, and no offense, have got a strong start onto site. Yes, Roos is still alive, they have dropped down, and they're looking for another kill, but they're going to expose themselves to half. They need to get the timing perfect. If they don't, they're just going to be wiped off the face of the earth. The swing comes out from the mirror and does exactly that. The mirror windows come down. That's going to be Kodaf finding a pick up the half. And now it's down to Luna and Madaraya. They both are playing above here. They've lost site control. They don't have those yokai drones to deny the plan, but still give the info. No offense, with a minute left, don't seem to be wanting to go for the plant at the moment, because they realize that they do still have quite a few things to worry about. For example, this player up above. You can see now the swing comes out, and that's going to be Kesko taken away.
You really don't want to be on that chase-up game the entire time, and as much as we do have that flank wall coming out, Lunar simply ignores. He goes through, and the bullet just nicely connecting as he finds the flank watch. He finds one off of Hatch, and the glass, the last one standing. We know about his whereabouts simply because of that kill, and Lunar, all he needs to do is hold down the diffuser, win a 1v1 against the DMR monster, the Huntsman sniper himself, with no smokes remaining. Definitely a weak point for the glass, and Lunar rocking quite a strong SMG is going to be making it even more times difficult as 30 seconds. These final few moments, the attackers have thrived off of many times. And peeking out, I mean, Flash can play it safe, but Lunar doesn't, as she just swings out without a care in the world and gets away with it. As the defense now, McCready, it is going to be 1 round away for LDL Valor from match point.
I mean, no offense, they had what they needed. They had the glass, they had somebody there on main stairs to take control of it when LDL weren't focusing on that. They got those kills, they opened things up and could go for the push, and they had every opportunity to do so and get that plant down, because if they were just a little bit faster, as soon as they got that 2 played out, they could have got a plant. They waited, just said, right, we'll get the breach open, that's what we're going to do. And that's how the round was ended, because they didn't take advantage of it. They didn't capitalize. And as a result, they put themselves in that catch-up position you said you didn't want to be in. Glaz in that 1v1, like it's just not the place to be, especially with that scope. Yes, it's a fast-firing DMR, but it just wasn't what was needed, especially going up against Luna. Very, very good retake from LDL and showing why they're currently on a 5-2 scoreline, looking to win this top 4 site and looking to get onto match point before they have to try any other bomb sites. And now this is on the top floor. I mean, no offense, they've really struggled with kind of taking advantage and kind of stopping LDL from finding these comebacks and rounds. I feel like this top floor site's only going to make that worse.
Codapt here being the peak reminder of the fact that the Blackbeard isn't banned, but instead, the Blitz is also one of those outshining characters, especially on the shield build, that definitely can be picked up, and no offense, are going to be giving it a first as well. The attackers have resolved to some very drastic measures, as building up that shield momentum can definitely bring you more cons than it does pros at times, and hopefully no offense can put it to work quite nicely. And I'm still surprised the fact that we haven't seen much shield action in general. Yes, the Monty is gone, but the Blackbeard, I mean, the Blitz, they are both hated, especially in the console scene. And God forbid them being played on a map like Bank. And well, I guess teams just don't like using whatever's best to give them, or maybe there's no use for them in their strategy. Whatever the reason may be, it's going to be the first time we get to see Blitz in action, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and right now what we can see is a little bit of an awkward spot here for Roos, as the really gate's going to be over towards that stock side. Utility will go out, meaning that you can have a quick jump in for Kesko if you want, but they're aware the player's going to be in stock. They're going to be holding it. So now for the attacking side, they need to start pushing it. They need to just start applying some pressure to LDL Valour, who at the moment are just sitting quite comfortably. Nobody pushing it to stops. They have a window player, but as the breach opens up, now there is only the time that they're going to start applying that pressure onto the windows and to the rest of the players on site. Half the round ticking down, they're just getting rid of that bulletproof camera. Blitz, Kodak, the operator you expect to be charging in, hasn't really had that opportunity just yet.
Not really, no. Maybe they're prepping up for the right time and right chance to shine, bright like a diamond. And well, that's going to be the first step made by the Blitz. And although he doesn't know one's right behind, snuck right through, in the end it doesn't end in tragedy, but Chiron brings it out to name. As again, people just peeking out onto the square balcony is absolutely comedic, although this time it's changed. And then meanwhile, you get the Blitz kill, but the Blitz also gets killed. So it doesn't matter, as it's brought down to a technical 3-2 situation. No offense to the minus, and you're going to be facing match point, and if you don't put these last 2 players' bullets onto some absolute work, well, one stuck outside of sight, going to be repelled up, while in the meanwhile, we do have both of these players just struggling to find these 1v1 situations, and LDL are playing this very safe.
Yeah, you can see Madawaya go for the swing with a super shorty. Zach getting the kill to Zorro. Means Kesko's going to fall to the man, and that is going to be the match point. Pulling out the UMP just to close out that round, and very well played from LDL. Like I said, no offense, they kind of stunted. They kind of just stalled out on that top floor. They could have pushed in. They could have taken stock a lot sooner, but they just didn't. So we are going to see a timeout. We can talk a little bit more about that round and what we saw happen. I mean, really well played there from, I believe it was Mad, going all the way down to that main lobby, trying to apply the pressure, realizing in a 2 versus 4, well, there's a player on the window. Put the player on the window on edge. And suddenly that's just a 1v4, a 1v3 situation when they're with that last player that's currently on site. Realistically, that round, there were a lot of moments when the offense could have taken something from it, but they just didn't. They just let the round play out, and they let LDL do what they wanted. I'll give them credit, though. There was a lot of refrags in that, and I was happy to see that.
A no offense timeout here. Definitely other times we could have seen it, especially the second in the first half, 2 rounds in a row were won by the side of LDL. And of course, many other but I guess this is going to be the last time you can use it. It is one per map, so might as well put it to use, as of course 4 rounds in a row is nothing that's unforeseen or impossible. It's just low chances and of course probabilities that we need to take care of. So we head into this match point. LDL Valour have racked themselves up 4 lifelines. You win one of those and it's going over to map 2 with you already 1-0 in the series. So take it into account. Make sure you make every single round either a way of adapting, a factor towards that victory, or just win it in the first place.
Let's think about the mental game as well, Papa, because now they're going on to bank. They're quite confident. If LDL win this round or the next round, then they're going to be going on to Kaf-Dostoyevsky. Very happy with their performance so far. No offense, they're going to be going on to that second map. Okay, the Kaf-Dostoyevsky, it's a map that still, it follows a kind of regimented structure and how teams would look to attack it. But when they're going on to that map, they need to consider the fact that LDL are just going to keep continuing, and an aggressive team on Kaf that know what they're doing can really just run away with rounds. And even if they win that, if they lose this map, Consulate. That's a map where I feel like stalling out is going to be even more detrimental to a defensive or attacking team. I feel like LDL, they've really put it on the ground and the map on their backs, and they're just going to run with this as far as they can go. No offense, need to get a little bit of a shift on. They need to be a little bit more kind of not aggressive, just aware of these opportunities, because if they're aware of it, then they can just take advantage. Gold there is going to find the bulletproof camera, but not find the player on the cameras, which is a little awkward, because with the Flores, that could have even been a kill if they actually spotted it. So, unfortunately, they're not going to find that. That Flores drone will at least get utility instead. But again, LDL, they're going to have that top floor. It's all about verticality on this side, Puffer.
And that's why we see the Buck. No Ram, as a matter of fact. So the Buck, Russ himself is taken out. You do want to keep him alive as long as possible. And again, LDL Valour here are going to be so high upon this podium that No Offense are starting to have a very hard time reaching them and falling behind, as now going over towards Scare, a very split up push for No Offense, which is definitely not ideal for the attacking side, especially seeing as how the track record of gunfights has been up until now. And even then, the information gathering from LDL is absolutely phenomenal. I don't know. I'm feeling that No Offense maybe can get away with a bit of a sneaky play, especially looking at Kodaft, as right now he's prepping out. So shots coming out, the warning ones from Valkyrie, even the Doc, as they have a little aware of where he may be, even though Kodaft, he gets away with it. I mean, he gets Materia even after many shots, the Echo drone, all in the favor of LDL. They still lose out on the player, but thankfully, Lunar comes around just to return it.
Yeah, but that's time. That's a Yokai drone taken away as well. This was the map. This was the side that LDL really seemed that they'd lost it the most on their attack. So going on to the defense, hopefully No Offense can just ride that a little bit more. No Offense, they've got in the building. They've got an opening pick. They have that square control. Albeit you can see Half walking up that square. They know there's a player in Archive. They don't know there's a player nearby. The flashbang goes out. The swing from Gold. A beautiful kill there. And it meant that 50 seconds left on the clock. The player advantage in favor of No Offense. Sorrow going to add a player to that count. And it taken down. Luna Wall now and Sakurai, but we cannot count these down as the last 2 players. But you are going to see Luna take it away. Casco finding that kill with that German pistol. It's all down to Sakurai. They know players got in. They can't find a head. They're going to try with the Deagle instead, but it's not going to happen. But 30 seconds is all they need. And Gold, they're going to take advantage. They jump in, they get the kill, and that is going to be a round on the board, a round staving off map 2.
Earlier it was 4, now it's riddled down to 3. It always keeps on going down by the count, and well, LDL, you may have messed up this round quite drastically in moments, as right now Kodaft is definitely putting you on the spotlight. Yes, you got the exchange, but the Doc shouldn't have been killed in the first place. Mandaria really hasn't been having the best of runs currently. Yes, his KD is absolutely phenomenal, but he's always the one to be picked up first in moments where he nearly shouldn't be. And again, No Offense kept out swinging from angles that shouldn't be unprecedented, which is normally the job of a defender. You should use this building to your advantage. Swing out from corners that the attackers don't know where you are. Again, but the attackers do that to you, and it seems to be a bit more confusing. Now, some rounds have been lost, and McCready, we return down to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, this is another round that we saw LDL Valour. They kind of snatched it back towards the end. No Offense, they got early picks on the board. They took good control of main stairs and pushed onto site. It's just keep on going with that. A lot of teams usually struggle to go from A to B and then B to C. Like, a lot of teams can go from A to B, that's fine. But what they do in the mid round. How do they kind of take control of that? How do they synergize? No offensive struggle with this. And that's going to be the make or break in this round. And if we do see another round on the board after this, that's going to be what it's all about. Looks like Kesko's going to go with Kodaf down towards the garage to get rid of any shields that might be playing down there, get rid of any utility that might be waiting for them. And we might just see Gold trying to walk down that tunnel, which I think would be quite funny to watch. Again, utility, roam clear, that's the name of the game here for me. You can hear the detonations of some of these ash charges. At the moment, we're not seeing anything too heavy starting out.
Nothing just yet. Again, the lineup from No Offense, they really don't want to back off of that glass. And you know what? If it works wonders, might as well. If it holds off 2 players off of Garage, it allows LDL to pick up some extra fragmentations and get them a bit more cheeky into this lower trap for No Offense to sneak up into sight. It might as well go with it. Now, the Echo this time around is going to be sneaking about the shield, hopefully not contesting it. And, well, the God 6 makes its appearance yet again for a second time here. Although, LDL Valour, your mistakes are a lot more keen to happen, as No Offense right now are in a bit of a choke, seeing as, again, it is match point.
Yeah. Now, again, the positioning here from Chiron is very, very good. Just a little pixel showing out as Madaraya and Kodaf each get killed. But here's the thing, Kodaf finishes out Chiron. That was a good spot to be in for the Yokai, but now it's been taken away. And it's been done by the glass. They haven't needed a player walking down those main stairs. Luna's going to find Zora as well, and they will spot that the player's going for the square drop, which means Gold can go for the swing. Try and find this player, but over towards that archive site. They're going to put themselves into this box. I don't think they know, but now they do know as they swing out. Gold gets taken down, and the pace to go with it as well. Puffo, Kodaf, and Kesko very isolated here over towards Lone and Garage. Not able to just take control of the round again and put it on their back. LDL, this is looking a lot better.
Oh, Kensko, you can't be missing shots like those. You see the punch? Oh, there you go, delivering that final blow to Materia. As again, LDL all sneak up, sandwich you into a corner, and Lunar takes you out for the final as one more player stands. And like in the previous situation, it will be the Glass, it will be Kodak, and every single player from LDL is absolutely greedy. They're feeling the criminality, and they're taking it in the bag. Lunar robs you of that round, and No Offense to lose it out as it was match point like mentioned, and LDL will be taking map number 1, Bank, under their name. And in a 1-0 series, they have only one more map to claim before this is going to be their proclaimed qualification. Maybe No Offense are going to step it up into map number 2, but until that happens, we still need to see it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, No Offense, there were a couple of key things. They didn't really read into what the key things about a round were, what was really the kind of key issues or the key opportunities they had. That's something that needs to change as we go into the next map. I mean, we can't go into KAF Dostoyevsky with teams not realizing that they needed to be going in on these. They needed to be taking control of these areas. They needed to be aware of these flanks coming through. That's not something they can afford to be trying to figure out next round and not have it in the next round. For me, LDL Valour, that was a really strong start for themselves, but going on to KAF, that's going to be another story entirely, isn't it, Puffo? And that does mean it's going to be a little bit of a break.
Bit of a break.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a second map out of a possible 3 here. LDL Valour, they have 1 bank. Now they're looking to close it out on KAF Dostoyevsky to get them through to that playoff stage. But Puffo, no offense, this is their opportunity to try and bring it back. They have the opportunity to shut it down and make sure that we go to that 3rd map of Consulate. Is that going to happen? Is that going to be the case?
I wish I was a fortune teller, but sadly we don't have around those. And well, I think these teams are going to have to prove it rather than us saying these numbers and words. So, well, McCready, as we head into Cafe Dostoyevsky, I think we talked about it even post-production. We talked about it in the match. There were some mistakes on No Offense's side. They had a bit of a tough time realizing their awareness, the soundings, everything around them seemed to be a bit off. And, well, hopefully that doesn't transfer onto Cafe, as this would probably one of the worst maps. Would be definitely one of the worst maps to have that type of issue on.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, no offense on the bans that we're seeing now, Ying is a pretty good operator for that. I mean, they've realized LDL can really ramp things up in the last 20 seconds, 30 seconds of a round. That's where that Ying bans coming out. LDL, they're going to get rid of that Blackbeard. We've spoke a lot about the shields. We didn't actually see any ban, but we barely saw any played in that last map. But Blackbeard, it's an operator that, especially towards piano side, especially towards bakery, can cause a lot of pressure, so they're going to take that away. For me, I want to see LDL focus a lot more on the verticality as well as no offense on the attack, because the cap is a map that just demands it. And we didn't really see much verticality from either team aside from 1 or 2 rams being used and no offense trying to use the buck. Mira going to join the defenders on the band operator stage. That doesn't really surprise me at all, especially a map like this. The long angles, the big map, it makes sense why you'd want to take away that Mira, shut down that information game.
Absolutely. And the last one, you said it, information game. And the name of the game, most of the time, it tends to be the Valkyrie that prioritizes, mostly with the Black Eyes being all around the map. Again, Cafe has a lot of connections. And when I say that, I mean, you look at top floor, right? Top fireplace, you can throw one Black Eye. You can see the entirety of Cocktail. You can see the entirety of Bar, New Heaven, the entirety of bottom floor right below it. There is so much information for just one simple piece of gadget that is so small, hard to detect, and most of the time needs a dedicated operator to be taken care of. Honestly, Valkyrie would definitely be one of the best operators on Cafe Dostoevsky, but less about which ones are banned and which ones are picked, as right now, while the attackers do have that 6 picks on availability still, the defense have locked it in. We see the Cade, we see very interesting additions, not being the Mutant Smoke, but rather the Oryx and the Doc.
I think they might realize that LDL might want to be bringing out that 1P. They might want to bring out some more shields. The Doc makes a lot of sense. The secondary gun can make those rotates and it can make those lines of sight that you need for the verticality as well as your 2 SAS ops. But the Oryx for me is that rotation. I mean, it's that flank that we see. No offense, they didn't really take much advantage of it in the defensive side. But on their attack, they did have like little prodding elements coming around on the flanks. For example, we had Roos on Bank, you had going down those main stairs, you had players trying to walk through electrical on that middle floor site. But speaking of the middle floor site, that's what LDL Valour are going to have to attack now. Realistically, it's all about that verticality. You take that top floor control, Mad Araya gets those Ram Boogie drones on the floor, opens it up, you shut down those defenders' movements, you get 2 kills, and you start looking for an execute, whether it be dining, preferably reading. The defenders, they need to shut that down. Oryx is a good operator to do that.
One of the defenders was all the way down on bottom floor, which is definitely an operator you need to take care of as fast as you can. But while bottom isn't going to be the most of our concerns here, attackers, it's going to be verticality. It is needed on a site like this, and fended off it will be for as long as it possibly can by these defenders, as No Offense are already shooting the random shots. But Materia, they're always on the punish action as he takes out Kesko, a very strong player of No Offense. And another, Rustin, he still puts up a decent fight as he's not allowing it to be all for naught. Lunar taking some heavy damage. It's not going to be enough to take him out, but one more bullet, it's going to be fatal. Seymour from below, and he claims his life. That's the second, and not only have you lost the potential verticality you could have had from the sledge, but the Monty as well. No Offense are having absolute bangers.
Yeah, and now they are going to be trying to just take control of this as much as they can. They don't have to go to the top floor, but Kodaf still can. With the drones down below, they realize that there might be somebody trying to go for a flank. They might be trying to go for a pinch, but they can start walking in. Matt Orion's going to try and be that person. They know that there's a player in mining. They find Kodaf, get that kill. But you've got to think about the time that's wasted. Zacharado finds gold. That means it's only Zora and Houston now. They have the time. They have TCSGs with long angles, and they have the SMG-11, which can absolutely destroy. But now with time to get down, the information goes up. They know where Zoro is. Are they going to take control of it? No, they're not going to. The swing comes out, though, from Madaraya, finding Zoro. The refrag will nearly come out from the roof, but it's not going to happen. They'll get down, taking control of the top floor. This is where they can make or break the round.
Oh, God. He missed smoke bait here, and RV even goes for the team kill onto Madaria. What did he do? He does not deserve the type of treatment, but LDL put themselves on a bit of a budget, you could call it. 1 player down, just a bit of mercy shots coming out for No Offense, but this could be working against your favor. A smoke to be let off, a bit on the opposite side of where he currently stands. Shotgun shots to the left, extra ones return, still one on red hallway. He peeks, he claims. Harvey got out with 2 kills in the end. One of them ended up being Madaria.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the TK, I think that was just stunting on them, but in a situation like that, Roos was just given so much opportunity there to really close out that round. I mean, they could have smoked off the ace and gone for the push, but that still led the issue of the Nomad. Playing over towards those wide stairs could rotate over. Harv played it beautifully. They got the TK, as you should, as a true gamer would. But most importantly, they played the distraction. The plant went down, and Smoke wasn't in a situation to counter that. So it was very well played from LDL Valor. But again, we saw a lot of damage go out in favor of the attackers, in favor of the defense very quickly. Now they got that first round off the board. That's the tertiary bomb site. They have lost it. But now they're just going to go up to the top floor. They realize kind of how LDL might want to play this game out. They've got the hard stuff out of the way. You know, they've ate the vegetables. Now they want the dessert. Those 2 rounds you expect to win on an attacking lineup. And I think bringing the operators that are kind of perfect for this. The Wamai, the Frost, the Goyo, the Malusi. Again, slowing down attackers, maximizing the space they have, and wasting the utility that they've got.
Now, the questionable decision for No Offense is why normally go for that middle ground? Why not go top or bottom first? Well, I guess they just wanted to maybe catch LDL off guard. Personally, it could have also been a pick of their favor. It matters not. They've lost it. It's a bad start, but this is a map where the attackers do have a bit of an easier way around it. An even easier way is going to be on this top floor, mostly because of how many windows lurk around the entire map. Again, No Offense have been caught lacking so many times that it's honestly astounding how they get away with it, a lot of it. I mean, we've seen people just randomly walk outdoors onto hallways where any attacker could be headed, and this is where those windows are going to be absolutely fatal.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. That's why I feel like windows, they were used on Bank, but they weren't used much. They were kind of get the utility, get a kill, get off, or get inside the site. When we did see late round coming in, it didn't really have much impact. It was dealt with very quickly. A very nicely timed EMP from the booster there, getting the drones off the board, stopping those Flores drones from getting the gadget. Oh no. And now they're going to be looking for a run out of towards Bakery. They can see if there's somebody on the window. They know Monty's in piano. They can run out. They can get that play. They spot them there. And they're going to go for that rush. They go for that swing. They jump out. The impact EMP goes off. They look for the kill. But the Ash is too quick to get off there. And that's going to be Roos giving away their position. But most importantly, making LDL aware that there's one player not on site. Which means No Offense. They have to hold down a little bit tighter. The explosives go off. Kyron doesn't fall just yet, but with that shield holding firm in Pixel, they know what the mute's playing.
A graveyard about to happen. Goyo being baited out by the Monty. No success on that fake out yet. And although the Goyo might have been spotted out outside, he's had much more than just time to retreat back this site. A rendezvous happening around piano. Frostmat almost being caught and maybe catching one in the midst of all this chaos that's about to go down. As 1 more minute remains. And Lunar, if there's going to be one to start it off, who else than him? As he finds 2. The information from the Monty. Pokeball's there. Not going to be catching him in 1. Even with the Flames, there's not a single thing to bring him down. But Harvey does 1. Madara with the 2nd. A quad kill for the side of LDL. And the last one standing, ironically, will be the Goyo who tried going for the run out as the P-Sure claims 1. Reloading is definitely slower than pulling out the secondary, but you're being hunted down. You still find the down. Rust there not putting down any type of stance. He is absolutely letting it be known. But Zakaria, he accepts the challenge. A pistol whip for the final. And well, LDL, they get another one.
So much damage there, taking out that player on the top floor meant that they just, they got a Flores. It just wasn't meant to be, though. That round for me was really won out by LDL Valor just being able to take control of space. No offense, they locked on very tightly onto key positions. They focused on Pixel. They had a player down below that wasn't able to kind of take control and really apply any pressure. And I feel like they held in bathroom a little bit too late as well, because they allowed the Forest to get the Util and Freezer. That's when they pushed the aggression. That's when they made it a lot tougher and decided they had to fight the flight. And if they flighted, they died. Realistically, that Goyo canister could have been detonated a lot sooner from the side of on the side of Pixel, which would have stopped Carbon from being able to push in and given them a little bit more breathing room to focus over towards Bar. That's what it is. I mean, that's the second round in favor of the attack. They're going to be trying that site again, and in my eyes, I'd like to see Roos just play it a little bit more passive. Don't go downstairs. Clearly, Luna was ready. Clearly, LDL were aware that there might be something like that going on, even if they didn't have the flank cams. So they were very quick to respond. But now Roos is going to decide that they fancy a little bit of a spawn peek.
Yes, they do. It doesn't harm them. It definitely can. But I guess they're willing to take the risk, as this gamble ended up going into no one's favor just yet. No attacker shooting, no realization yet. And well, we're still going to be rocking that Nomad, which is definitely an operator to be considered most of the time on this map. And top floor is where it's going to be. No verticality connected. And no fans giving this site a second chance. Let's see how well they fare this time.
Yeah, a little bit more pressure over towards that Piano edge inside. They're just going to get that utility off the ball. They realize that Piano is going to be a big problem for them. So again, they need that player on the window. They just need to be ready. So going to get that hatch open very quickly. Luna not being the one to open these hatches because they know they might need to keep those ash charges. They're going to use the forest drone instead, which will then go and clear out a lot of this utility that they've already spotted and pulled out. This is where the utility destruction is going to come in massively, because if it's not coordinated, it can all just go the favor of the defense. But it seems like LDL, they know kind of what they need to do, where they need to be hitting, and what they need to focus on. Strong start so far. Nobody's pulled just yet from them.
Nobody just yet, and it's quite surprising, honestly, as people do tend to fall very early on, but this time around, both these teams have been really cooled off till the very last few minutes, where then, of course, it's an absolute bloodbath, and up until that happens, everyone's gathering information, trying to find that comfort zone, and up until then, LDL have definitely been giving a mouthful over to no offense, but a run-out Russ, he finally does it, but was it worth you get down in the process? Materia claims your Frost, and it's all going downhill as now you're in a bit of a deficit, still playing in that minus, having to recover your goal in the meanwhile, and absolutely everything all about. The C4 not connecting, going to be leaving that Monty in a bit of a hostage situation as he can't approach this door too close, and so many people all around board. The shotgun comes out, but peeks up close and personal. Materia, Lunar, both claim. It's a finish onto the one, completion onto the second, eliminations all around the board, and you cannot count on Lunar to not do an absolute fantastic job, because he's the one putting these kills out there, and LDL Valour, I mean, they're just leaving him do it.
Yeah, good opportunity from Kesko there to try and stop that plane going down, but realistically, it's all down to Luna. They are just walking in, finding the heads that they needed. They got that mute player. They taken him down in bathroom. That took away the C4. Chiron pushes up. As soon as that player gets taken down, Chiron can just walk through Pixel and apply the pressure to Lumber. Like you see that force the Wamai over towards the Lumber side, which is where Luna was just waiting. And then they were able to just walk around and get that last kill on the Kesko. Really well played from LDL. They felt control very quickly, and well, no offense, they did the right thing by holding it back a little bit and not being so aggressive. It didn't work out for them in the end of the round because they just weren't winning the gunfights they had to. Going down to the bottom floor, though, the question is, are they going to try and play for the roam, or do they want to sit on site? I feel like looking at the lineup, they're going to just do that spread out bottom floor defense. Maybe have somebody over towards that VIP side, contest white, have somebody in bakery, and just kind of have the castle just shut down any freedom of movement, so then they can't just get control of red and then take whiskey as well. I feel like that's the way No Offense want to play this. They want to use some of these longer angles, but with Lunar Wall bringing out the glass and with the sense as well as the Grim and Blitz, I feel like LDL have definitely got an idea of how they want this to play out, and it's not going to be walking into No Offense's long angles unprepared.
The Monty counter hasn't been spotted out just yet from the defense, although this time around we're not going to be needing it too much. An adaptation to the losing gunfights as LDL. The first blood dropped is going to be onto none other than Chiron as he's shot out in the back by his own teammate, which we've already seen go quite south in one of the previous rounds. The Bs from the Grim are absolutely fantastic to see, especially in utilization. And very early on, we actually this time have a change of pace as a kill will be dropped onto none other than the Ash player himself, Harvey, to be taken out first.
Yeah, but the thing is now, No Offense, they're aware this push is going to come through flash base. They are going to try and contest it. Big Skull's able to find Zachariah. It's going to be Zoro swings out, finding Karen. Mataraya has an answer, but now 2 versus 4 in favor of the defense. They were ready, they were waiting. Mataraya will find Kesko. They were not able to see through this util at the moment. Only Luna can do that, and Luna is currently at a different side of the map. They're going to have to coordinate because No Offense, they played it quite well. They had what they needed. They had the refrags, but Mataraya just has the aim, finding the head of Zoro, opening things up as we go back into a 2 versus 2. Again, though, very much steeped in the defender's favor. They have the long angles, they have the information, and Luna also has a really difficult weapon in these close-range engagements they're going to find themselves in. Drone comes out, spots that play towards red stairs. That means that Luna has to keep an eye on that red while the smoke is there. A little bit, but the fire will come out from Rusa. It's time takes down Bravo.
diffuser.
Well, time ticks down, and Rusty, his bullets also in the magazine drop just for an extra few, but all nicely well and done, planted out. A elbow shot from Lunar as he has the peak of the crop, the final few pixels to deliver one into the grave, as Nofence now only have one more standing. But there's no diffuser on Lunar. He needs to seek it out. He does definitely have the positive time to do so, and some information onto Kodaft. Although this is a very unwinnable gunfight with the HP you're looking at, a headshot will need to be counted into action, and a lot of cheekiness, like we said, just peeking out, trying to tease it all out. And with this SMG, it's very possible he has way more to go off of than you. You go through this one-sided door that, of course, he can just look at and kill you from. All you need to check all these angles in the side of Bakery. It definitely did not go their way.
That was a good effort bringing it back, but no offense, that was one of the strongest rounds I've seen from them in the last couple 10, I just want to say, really. They played it well, they played it smart. They realized that LDL were going to go for something fast, go for something strong, and they were ready to deal with it. They had players nearby to refrag. They realized that with that prep wall open, a blitz is probably going to rush in there. So they just had that coordination. They seemed a lot more locked in than they did before. Again, we didn't see much verticality coming out from either team. Neither team really wanted to focus on that. And I feel like that's something they could maybe exploit a little bit more if the other team fails to do, depending on whichever side you are. But that is no offense picking up their first round on the defense. This does feel a little reminiscent of the scoreline we saw at this point on Bank. No offense, going back to this middle floor site, I need to see it work out a little bit more. I feel like the big thing that they lost early in the first round that we were on, Puffo,
10 seconds
has
left.
got to be the numbers. They lost the verticality because they lost those numbers upstairs, didn't they?
5 seconds left before
They
insertion.
did. They definitely did. Although, there is definitely an up here. Some downs, some ups, and LDL, they lost a round. No offense, picked up their first. And again, it's kind of looking similar as to how it was on the previous map. 3-1. Could be leading into a 4-2. No offense, definitely have to make it worth their while. And a 4-2, I think, definitely has a lot more probabilities on this map than it did on the prior. And please, LDL have been using this Monty round after again. The one round they tend to not use it ends up going commits in the wrong direction. So hopefully this time they're going to be following the tradition, playing all of this correctly. Already see some Goyos popping, so that's going to be early utility absolutely done and dusted. And Russ, oh, he's already starting to look for which corner and which angle to go and run out from.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's something they can... Yeah, if they do it and they get killed, it's going to be amazing because LDL, they're prepared for it. They're ready for it. They've been really not giving any quarter. So if no offense could find an excuse to get something like that, then it can be good. But again, LDL, they've been prepared for it. They've been ready for it. And now you can see Harvard's W playing over towards that Christmas tree, ready, just aware that there's a chance that somebody's playing down below. As is Kyron, the flank watch is certainly there. And now LDL, they're just going to continue this verticality. They need to get this, they need to start getting in and get this vert done so they can start going for the execute, but they're still in the droning phase for now. Spot the player over the white, spot the player towards Lumber, and the Monty will start to move through. We've seen this a number of times before, but with that player on the white window over towards Cocktail as well, this could be a lot more focused and a lot more difficult for the defenders to deal with.
No offense here, being absolutely flashed out of their mind, and Chiron there with the Monty. The secondary actually picking up one of the openings, and Zakaria there following up a chaining late of events as LDL, again, they find the first two, and no offense, already losing numbers. They're in a deficit of 2. It's going to be the Goyo, it's going to be the Mozzie, but now 3 more remain, and unless they can return 2 of those, it's going to be a difficult fight. You've lost a lot of ground control, especially speaking of verticality facts. And even on your right, there's an Ash ready to take you out on site. Wallbank's coming around, not connecting. I mean, Harvey always does, and puts it in a 5-2. The Monty being contested is going to be full extending just to keep himself alive. And in the wrong timing, Kesko, he tries to pull out the secondary, but time doesn't remain. The final one, Kodaft, he puts up a valid fight, but it's just, again, quantity over quality. And LDL with 4 rounds under their belt.
Yeah, and I'm able to find a kill there at the end, but no offense, they weren't able to pick things up because the rest of LDL were there to pick it up. I mean, at that point, it was a 4 versus 1. I mean, the Monty died, but at that point, they'd already got what they needed. They'd already got the site control. They already had the round in the bag. It was just a case of, well, you know, the Monty's just wasting ammunition and making it so that they can,
Defenders,
they're
protect
just
your
going to
bombs
struggle.
from being defused.
That is going to be the second time that we've seen No Offense lose that site. They're going to head back to that top floor on the second time of asking now. Hopefully looking to win it out. LDL Valour, that was a good round as well. They realized the key positions that they were going to have to focus on. White, big rotation potential for a defensive lineup. So they had 2 players nearby. They had the one pressuring Pixel. They had goal canisters pop off. Yes, it did do damage. But the defenders weren't able to rotate. They had to go through that hatch. That hatch is a one-way trip, but unless they have the Oryx nearby, which he wasn't. No offense. This round, I feel like the Pixel side, they need to just stop the Monty. If they can get that Monty early, they can just get control of that round.
You can. They did end up getting him, but it was late. There was way too much backup. You gave them the time for the team chemistry to start kicking in. And offense now going to be definitely on the underdog story, needing to achieve a lot more than to be expected. And well, that's going to be a lot harder when you lose your main roamer. The Vigil so quickly taken out. Kesko again. How does it always occur to LDL Valour to either randomly shoot a wall or maybe, no offense, keep on going for these Spawn Peaks runouts that just never work out for them?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate wanting to make it happen, but it just doesn't seem to be the trick here. The C4 does go out of red, though. Doesn't find its mark. The smoke canister will be placed there, which means that they will be aware that there's somebody there to put pressure on. Kyron's going to fall fast, pinch between those 2 players, and isn't going to be able to have that impact in the round. They have that evening out. 4 versus 1 piano still stands. And with a Monty off the board, is this round going to be any different here? And we're going to find out. Player over towards that stage side will be Luna. Will be looking to push that player out of that position. But Kodaft, realistically, they've done the job. They've got what they need already. And now LDL Valour need to get the round back under their control.
A wake-up call here for offense. Maybe you haven't been seeing the best, but it's time to put on your reading glasses and maybe rewrite your story. A 4-1, make it 4-2. It's the best you're given, a bare minimum, especially onto this map. And while going onto that attack, you might as well have it be your saving grace. But as of current, you need to hold out. You took out the Monty, exchanged it for the Vigil, which again was unnecessary, but these final moments seem to thrive best for LDL and change the fate. Have it be turned around for this time, as 1 more minute remains. You have so much utility to help you. The Goyos, the Echo information is at an all-time high, and people next to the breach as you take care of one. Madaria, the opening kill was given to him, but now he's going to be the opening for the situation as 55 count down. And again, no offense, are completely shutting them down. And Zoro is having no mercy to grant for LDL. He's seen what's happened when they do, and right now, a 4-2 situation, they possibly couldn't throw this.
Yeah, I mean, no offense, they're looking pretty solid for that 4-2 split going on to their attacking side, but that's still the deficit you don't want it to be in. But this could be the morale changer, and that's the big thing. Zoro able to swing twice and get 2 big kills. Gonna look to make it a 3rd, will be able to do that. And now it's all down to Harv in that CS area. They have the Nomad, they have the jabs, but with 20 seconds to get down, 4 kills to get on the board, and 1 player in piano, the rest spread out across the map. It just isn't going to happen. Goyo in the leg will be the final dinner bell, and that is going to be Zoro looking to get that final kill, make it a quad kill, get that extra bit on the board. They haven't got any other kills in this game so far. It is going to be locked down at 3, but with 4 seconds left, no offense, they win out their 2nd defensive round. That top 4 will go in their favor, and it means that when they go into the attack, they'll have a little bit more of a breather. It's not a great position to be in, but it really is the mental change there, because LDL Valour lost the Monty quick, and then they just stalled out. No offense, actually recognized an opportunity and took advantage of it, which is the one thing I feel they've lacked throughout the whole of this series so far.
Until now, the Monty has been putting No Offense in a position of a body bag just to be beaten time and time again. And LDL, as much of a flip-flop as they had in their hand, No Offense picked up the belt and they struck back. They took out the Monty, and that was huge. It definitely was a step in the right direction, so keep on going on those right steps, climb up the ladder, and find those extra few, because 2 rounds away from an equalization is huge. But again, 1 round, 2 rounds, and LDL are already having themselves match point, which is just a groove they can work off of easily. Mistakes that you've been committing, No Offense here, can be punished easily, and LDL have been proving that point over and over again. By the looks of it, maybe it's going to be a change. Now we're going to have to see how LDL managed to counter out this attack on their own defensive, as I'm already seeing the Vigil on pick, of course, with the dog being the comfort ones. I mean, the Bosch G already indicates it.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see any Vigil last game purely because it was back now. I mean, we're probably going to see why, because that Bocce is a very heavy hitting weapon. I think once you get to the range when you're in the building, it does do a damage down in one shot, even though it was nerfed. It won't do it at range, but it will do it when you're in the building, realistically. Having that SMG as well, very powerful sidearm to have on the board, and it means that the attackers, they're just going to have to be a lot more careful. Defense, no one else this time, but you can see Zoro is very much aware of it, especially considering No Offense tried it themselves. But again, Piano's going to be the kind of key position. You can see the Roosters over towards that cocktail side. Realistically, going to get some util down, get the Flores drones used over towards that red side, then rotate back to cocktail. I feel like No Offense have got a good strong start. There's nothing really screaming out to me that there's any issues with. But the castle and the yokais might make it a bit harder to deal with, but it does come to this late round.
That's it. The yokais may be proving a bit more difficult, but No Offense has a couple of Roteras on the line to counter up for it. As of current, again, we're still in the smooth swing and see where the LDL side are going to be picking up. We do not have that explosive action you normally tend to see, but Explosion can be definitely altered in many ways, as a carrier needs no C4, randomly just that MP5 to claim its first victim. As Kesko, he has been receiving so many strays, he has been constantly the pickup for LDL, and it's honestly getting a bit too religious. But thankfully, Kodav does avenge the life of his fallen comrade as Harvey falls right after.
Yeah, does get that kill, does take down that mute over towards CF, but as the drone comes through, they're going to be aware that they're just playing down below it as well. This has opened things up so they can start moving into Piano, but no LDL will be aware of this, and they will have somebody ready to try and strike. They'll have somebody towards top white ready to deal with it. It's going to be Vigil. It's all about droning out this Vigil now. Will it be done? Are they aware of this? Yes, they are. You can see that the yellow ping is there. The Vigil doesn't even know, which means that this is a real big opportunity. Luna Wall pre-fires just a little bit of damage, tries to do a little bit of damage, will be able to do it to the Vigil, but doesn't find the kill. Enough to force him out, though. But with 50 seconds ticking down, this is where they need to really start taking advantage. No offense. We talked about stalling out. We talked about giving LDL opportunities. Let's not make that happen now. And speaking of opportunities, nearly letting Madaraya slip away from them. It's going to be Zoro to get the confirm. And now they start moving down. The yokai goes off. They know that they're being watched. But with 30 seconds left, they have to really make something happen. Sakurai finds Zoro, and Kodaf gets Sakurai in return.
Oh my god, Kodak! Someone stop him finally! Lunar puts an end to the first contact. As he made contact brick by brick, he built a house, and in the meanwhile, No Offense have found themselves cozy in it. The boss just strikes, and Lunar finds it with one shot needed. No headshot in the process. Wallbangs coming about. But Russ, if you fall down to this one slug, the SMG-12, the pre-fire from Lunar, it's all going wrong and triumphing none other than the Vigil, as LDL find greatness in the final strive, the final action push they get onto this defense. Be that as it may, the fact still stands that it's 5-2, and how do they get away with it?
I don't understand. How is Luna allowed to walk up white stairs, get that kill, rotate to Pixel and Piano, find another one, and that is why we saw the Vigil being banned. But most importantly, what No Offense should have done is ban out Luna Wall, because Luna Wall and Mad have had incredible games so far. They really have been some impact players, and now LDL Valor going down to the basement on the top of that very, very close round. That again, we're seeing too much of from No Offense. They're letting LDL have this, and they're letting them run away with the last 30 seconds of a round. We just need that stopping power. We just need to know how to close out these rounds properly, and it could be an entirely different scoreline. LDL Valor, though, looking to go to match point in the basement. That then gives them 4 rounds to close things out, and within those 4 rounds, yes, they will be able to go back to that top floor and the bottom floor if it does start to go all the way. Realistically, No Offense, they have to play the perfect game of Siege pretty much from now if they want to win this game, and then go into Consular.
Maybe they can lose a round. That's as much as they can afford, but they're going to be allowing overtime, right? If we want this to be a victory within regulation, to finish it out as soon as you can, within your own favor, No Offense, it needs to be this one. You need to show that you're not all bark, no bite, but that LDL have been barking up the wrong tree, and you're about to set your roots into this match. Round A, it's starting. We see the Blitz back in action, and maybe this time around, No Offense are trying to make sure that LDL Valor's strategy of rush will be going in their way, and maybe they're going to be executing it a tad bit better, as we also see the Finka this time around. The Brava to deny all sorts of information, even defenders along the way. I think they're just getting ready up. They're feeling the worm, and right now the tempo is about to pick up, I imagine, any second.
Yeah, now the Doctor B scan comes out. It gives away these players' positions, and caught in the reload, Harvey is going to be taken down. That means Kesko can push into Bakery, find another kill on Zachariah, and now that roamer upstairs, instead of helping the team, is going to be harming it by not being here for Valour and Environment's help. As they're going to have to stave things off, unable to find a kill into prep. That's going to be Mataraya not having that massive impact, as Kesko and Luna will each get a kill. The Vigil on the rotate on the red stairs will find a massive impact, but still has to deal with the blitz. The blank goes down, the attackers have become the defenders, and now Russo with the LMG is able to find Mataraya, the boss GA card. Luna, well, you've done it once. Can you get another clutch? Probably not on this occasion, but you're going to have to try. Blitz walks up, gets taken down by the SMG-12. There's 30 seconds, tick down spot. Another player can't land those shots. And it gets to that crunch zone here, Buffo.
Well, the Dummy's Guide to How to Do a Russian Offense giving up to us straight and ready LDL. Learn from them, as this time around they're going to be delivering some more than just blows. They're holding no punches. The time has ran out. Even if you reserved a couple of seconds, there's clearly less than 7, and Rush will put an end to this final fight. This complimentary attempt that was made by the Vigil, which was definitely decent at its moments. In the end, though, it's endgame kills, and right at your doorstep, No Offense are knocking as they claim 1 round. A fantastic rush, we can call it, and at first contact, they made the emphasis to get in as quickly as they can, not give LDL a single break, and every time they peaked, they were taken their heads off, served on a platter, a silver one at that, and only 2 rounds away from an EQ. LDL now need to start taking this into account just a bit more.
And that was it for me. They were fast, they took control, and when they started to feel pressure from what angle, someone else was there to help them out. We saw the Doc and Mataraya in small big, rotated around, immediately caught magazine out of gun, 2 attackers, just to shut them down. Very, very well played from them. They had the coordination, they had the skill, they knew what they needed to do. They did it very, very well. It is just a case of continuing that. They're going to have to attack that bottom floor again, and I believe LDL Valour, they're not stupid. They're going to be prepared for this. You see the Goyos being brought out there, hopefully to slow down the utility from being used instead of the... So, take a look. I feel like this round, for me, Buffo, is really going to be the decider. Can LDL adapt what they've got? You can already see that Lunawall is playing a little bit closer. They're over towards that museum side, so you can impact the floor and hopefully get a kill. Try and do something. You can see a small peak as well, and Kodaf isn't really going to fall for it when they've got a big shield in their face. That's not really something they have to worry about too much. Now, though, no offense, they've got to feel that bigger now.
Interesting way of taking it. We go from the top all the way to the bottom. No offense earlier, prepped this up with the Dokkaebi earlier, as Gold was the top bun, just to crumble down onto LDL. And in the end, they all nicely compiled together to make for a beautiful team friendship move up. As for this time around, we're going to be taking a bit more slowly. Maybe not. Maybe that's just the bait that No Offense are putting up, as we still see the blitz, the Finca as well, and the floor is there just to make sure that every single piece of blockage is gone, as he did take some very almost fatal delivering damage, although almost won't be quite enough to take No Offense down, as they're holding the grasp over quite nicely.
Yeah, exactly, and no real damage done until Zachariah was able to find Kodaf. The damage on Zoro as well means that it's going to be very, very awkward for that late round. Gold, though, has an answer to half. Takes away that Goyle, takes away that Vector that we've talked about quite a bit, actually, and how powerful it can be. The flashbangs of Zoro, though, over towards Small Bake will announce a little bit of pressure, maybe a jump in, which the defenders are going to be ready for. The run in, Bruce able to find Luna. How does Luna not win that one out? And now, you see the player advantage in favor of No Offense.
Oh god, we can already feel it. The caster tingles are going off on these players. They must be feeling some sort of sensation, the adrenaline surge pumping through their veins. As right now, 4 against 3, LDL still had some chances, and as much as they're fighting back against those, they're losing out on most opportunities they're given as a carrier falls. But Materia will be the one to actually be taken out first, as one down, the final one to fight against it, and absolutely no chance as the final few are delivered, and round 9 given back to No Offense, as now 5-4, 1 round behind. The deficit has shortened by much, and stepping up to the task, No Offense, the best ones to do it.
Again, confidence, coordination. It's what I feel like was missing from Hank is just here in spades on this bottom floor, because No Offense are playing together. They realize what the issues are going to be and how they can kind of maximize what they're getting out of this bottom floor. It's night and day from what I've seen on the top floor of the attack. I like it. This is good. But we need to look at this top floor now, because LDL, they're not going to head down there again. They've lost it once. Okay, that's fine. We'll try it again because they rushed. We didn't really get to use our strat, if that makes sense. So then going on to the second round, they tried it. They tried to adapt. It didn't work. They played aggressive. No offense, didn't let it hit their stride. Going back to this top floor now, this is one they're confident on. They know they won. They've slowed things down over towards that piano side. And realistically, LDL Valour should expect to win this. But no offense, if they can keep this aggression, keep the coordination, and most importantly, keep the pace that they've got, then they could close this down. They can even things out and maybe, just maybe, get to that match point.
Just maybe. Maybe we'll get to see it. Maybe we won't. LDL right now, again, keeping in mind that you've already won map number 1. The second one could be yours just if you get these 2 following and don't allow offense to get much more than 1. But those are all just numbers. That is all just talk, as we're going to have to see a bit more action from both of them. We've been seeing a lot of it, don't get me wrong. And as much as No Offense really don't want to utilize that Monty as much as they did the Blitz on downstairs, upstairs they rather bring guns to put him out. And of course, verticality is going to be needed here on this top floor, but we don't really have... Actually, we won't need this verticality. We will definitely not need verticality here. What we will need is some sort of entry. That's why we have the ace and the floors.
Exactly. It's utility, get that off the board, get the Flores in, force these players out of position, then the ace can do the hard breach. Half those feeling quite aggressive, and I feel like actually having these aggressive players hasn't actually worked out massively through LDL Valour, because No Offense have dealt with them quite easily, quite quickly. Now they know the one is playing over towards that window. They know that that player is going to try and contest them, and that's why they've got the player on the rappel. Because when they do decide to drop in the red stairs or onto that new hatch, that is going to be the key player to deal with. Kodaf will be able to find hard, takes them off the board, gets that opening pick, and that Ramai is taken away, as well as all the magnets. And Pyron only just able to get away from that cigar shop side. That hatch being reinforced is going to do a lot more damage than benefit to them. They have to brace the window there to run out. But with half the round taken off the board, no offense, they've got the pick, but they haven't got much of the time. This is where they need to really lock in and start to take control. Maybe get someone on that cocktail window. Maybe start pressuring that pixel side. It needs to start happening now, really.
Silver bullet for Lunar here if he manages to get the skill, and so he does! Russ predicted on the spot, sitting duck for the floors, as now you lose out on a player. Nothing's feeling themselves a bit discombobulated as they don't really have much of a spot to go through. Oh, this is definite a very interesting spot we get to see onto it. But people still peeking out on Pixel, people being shot in the midst of it all, and shot out they will as Madaria. In the end, he peeks out for way too many times. It's a carrier. They both follow along. Similar name, similar brain, and while converting it down to a 3v2 situation. No offense, they need to keep it up, but they don't! They lose it on verts. That is just leaving them empty-handed with the final 2 players extremely low on HP, playing against a C4 in the midst of it all. 20 seconds, definitely not an ideal situation, and bringing it down to climax. They're gonna need to push in, but that's just the worst-case scenario. Doing it alone will leave you no goods. K-Ron definitely takes advantage of it and loses out on the second. One after another, they fall to the SMG-11, and a backfire it does, as LDL now are holding on to match point.
Very, very well played from them there to bring it back. No offense, though, they kind of got given a lot more than they should have had. They lost that player over towards Cocktail side due to Luna Wall being able to predict that. And as a result, they did kind of stall out again, but they realized, right, okay, well, LDL, that they can win their gunfights. Look at those kills on the board at the moment. Most of the players on LDL Valour putting up numbers and have done as well on Bank. They realized that those players were going to peak them. So holding with the assault rifles, with the better scopes, with the better lines of sight, they were able to just get those picks on the board. LDL, they nearly gave it away. They shouldn't have been able, they shouldn't have let No Offense get that close into the round. So you really can't blame them for being able to push it that close and that well. Realistically, it was just the time with low HP. I believe if we saw the ace have a little bit more HP in that round, that could have gone completely differently. But like you say, LDL, they've kept that 2-round lead by winning that round, and now they're going to be heading to that middle bomb site. They defended it, and if I remember, they did all right defending it, actually. They didn't do too bad. Now, though, no offense, they have to deal with the verticality, and they've brought a very specific lineup to do it. They've got a Flores, Ace, Ramp, and the Thatcher. Thatcher and Operator, we've not seen once at all, even though he's been available for both games that we've seen.
Yeah, That's interesting to see. And maybe on the top floor, you just want to get that breach without having to go through the tussle of taking out the mute. But again, the Thatcher is going to be definitely an interesting choice to deny C4s pre-planted and possible, but a specific operator being picked just for that sole reason definitely seems to be a sore one, you know, an odd one out to say the least. Now, we see the Brava in action as of current. No offense, definitely bringing out as much as they can off of information, and in the meanwhile, also denying it, so a multitask at its finest. As LDL, we take a look at them, and they're just honestly, patiently waiting. They're waiting for everything to come to them, as a defender should, not playing aggressively, which is a good sign from them.
Exactly. Now, I've been already off the round. LDL Valour, realistically, they've decided not to go down to the basement, and that makes sense to me because they shouldn't realistically. They don't need to go down there because they're expecting to win. If they do that, no offense, will most likely pick up the round because it's been strong and confident. Are no offense able to keep that going? They need to have control of this verticality. That's the name of the game here. There's no real operators on the side of LDL that can really contest the verticality in the same way a Valkyrie can or a Pulse. So they need to take control, win these points. Matariah is going to be the first problem on Pixel. Will be taken off the board though, and that is going to be Ludo with an answer as well, keeping us in a 4 versus 4. Keeping LDL will need 4 kills away from getting that round and the game. Kodaf though has another kill, and we'll find Luda. And Kodaf has been on the ace, has been a massive impact player in some of these rounds. 3 versus 4, only 1 player remaining on that top floor, no opportunity to rotate down. They're gonna have to play their life, and if they do not make the hell, no offense, suffer for it, then that's it. That is the round realistically dealt with. If they don't get a kill here, LDL might just lose this whole one.
Oh, it's getting close. If I were to put my key money onto any player here, Harvey is the one to do it. He's the one to be the game changer, a drop off of Skylight, and he's getting a bit too close to the door. He's wasting very precious time, but he swings out, and oh, you approach Kodaft a bit too quickly. You could have stood your ground, possibly got away with another, forcing the possible ace to maybe try and feel that refract potential, but in the end, it is what it is. You definitely find some value out of nothing, and taking out the Ram will be a huge of it, but a lot of time wasted here. And no offense, we need to step up our things. The Axe need to be a bit faster, and now trying to approach site. You have no information on the last defenders. They're both holding you down. The wall bags are going to be there. No connection. The flash as well, and all they chain up together. The final 3 here from no offense are going to be the last one to put a 5 down. Zakaria claims 1. The hat drop comes about, but little do they know that Chiron is sticking about. He has for 1 of himself, and the last one going for the plant. It's doomed to fail as the drop is there, and in the end, Chiron claims them all out. As LDL Valour, 7-4 fashion, right after their victory on Bank, are going to be falling traditionally onto Cafe, taking this best of 3 in a 2-0.
Yeah, and doing very well to do so as well. Getting that round is showing why they're going to the playoffs. And at the end of that round, I feel like, no offense, again, this is where they really need to start showing signs of improvement. If they do want to qualify for the playoffs, and if they do want to score as high, I believe they can do in the playoffs if they do qualify, they need to be aware of what can go wrong. They need to have contingencies ready. They had everything, numerous rounds, numerous opportunities. And at the end of that last round, they had no pressure towards White. The one place that really could have caused a problem, and it did, because Chiron could just run upstairs. They could just try and get that flank, get that pressure. And then as soon as the player dropped from that top floor, they didn't expect Chiron. That round could have gone, it should have gone in no offense's way. It didn't. And there's a number of occasions where that was the story that we've seen each round. Realistically, moving forward, no offense, they need to think about what's going to happen in these late rounds. What could go wrong? How would they deal with it if something like that were to happen? And how can they prevent it? If they want to move any further, that's got to change.
Well, that's it. LDL have booked themselves a ticket for the qualifications. As no offense, worry not, they still have an extra chance. The final best of 3 to be played right now is going to be underway. Well, the final one in the very late bracket right now qualified, and they're going to be facing none other than Entropy, a very strong team that has been having a mix of run, but it is what it is. And well, I mean, McCready, it's still not over yet. That's something, at least.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can see LDL, they've already qualified. The job is done. They're going to join Ghost Army, Sync, and I believe if I'm not mistaken, an Excess team. They're going to be all the qualified teams on there at the moment. But like you say, no offense, they do have the opportunity to still qualify. But like I say, I've got to see some improvements if I do realistically see them making it. There are teams in this bracket that will take advantage of mistakes being made or things not being taken into account. Realistic, there's a good chance they could qualify. They just need to lock it down. That's all I can say.
Absolutely. And well, just as much as we're excited to see that match next time, and of course the continuation on who will actually end up taking it, Entropy, or will it be No Offense? No offense to those teams, but we have to take a look at what's going to be tomorrow's matchup, as of course it will be none other than SFAM Esports versus MG Minions, the final of this current bracket we got to see, just seeing who's going to be qualifying yet again and who's going to be going into that 2-2. And well, this is going to be a fascinating one. We have seen a lot of MG Minions action. SFAM, not myself personally, but you can always expect it here over at ESA.
Yeah, I mean, you can always expect them to be able to put on a show. The teams can really perform, and it's really not one that I'm going to miss at all. I'm going to be locked to my screen tomorrow as it does come up. But like you say, it's going to be here, so make sure you are as well tomorrow. But for the time being, Papa, that is it from ourselves. We are going to be leaving you for the rest of the evening to enjoy yourselves and have a little bit of a debrief after what you've just seen. So a huge shout out to Bozmax for observing the stream, and Hot Knocks, I believe I'm saying that right. I always get it wrong. For producing. Thank you for joining me, Papa. We will see you guys tomorrow.